and welcome to Mediumship Matters with me, Hannah Macintyre. And today I'm very, very exciting to be exciting. I'm very exciting, and I'm very excited to be speaking to the wonderful Carrie Knott from Serendipity Wellbeing. I'm just really chuffed. I managed to say serendipity because I was really worried about that one, Carrie. Hello.
Hi, Hannah. Thank you very much for inviting me today.
I'm really excited about this because I saw you on my Facebook newsfeed, which is a bit of a miracle these days for social media. But I was instantly drawn to your energy, but also the way that you deliver your messages, the integrity you work with. And I thought, oh, rubs hands together. I've got to get her on the podcast if she's willing to come. So this is great. So introduce yourself. Tell us all a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Okay, so you said I'm Carrie Knott, and I'm from Serendipity Wellbeing. And I'm really very blessed and lucky because my spiritual journey kind of in its full wholeness started probably a good couple of years ago. And I've always been very spirit-led. So everything I do has come from spirit, and I've been guided, and I feel very blessed for that. So in its infancy, Serendipity Wellbeing was literally a Facebook page. And I was training to be a counsellor at the time to do therapeutic counselling, and kind of went off tangent because I went through this whole spiritual awakening process myself at the same time, and kind of realized that actually I'm not meant to be doing the therapeutic counsel. I'm meant to be counseling people in a spiritual sense. I'm meant to be supporting people and empowering people. So Serendipity Wellbeing grew from there. I started doing something called the Crystal Club, which is lovely. I'm completely obsessed with crystals. I love crystals, always been very drawn to them. I bought my first crystal as a child on holiday in one of these kind of knick-knacky seaside shops, and it was an amethyst.
Amazing.
Really drawn to it, and I love purple, and I love Archangel Michael. So it's all kind of, coming together and all piecing together. And so it kind of grew from there, really. And Crystal Club is still running now. We're just over a year old, and it's wonderful to bring people together who are passionate about crystals. Each month we focus on a crystal, and it's an empowering and healing journey. So we set our intentions at the beginning of the month, and we work with our crystals through the month, and we do lots of lovely healing meditations, etc. And for me, that also, I've continued my journey in that process of guiding those people as well and leading those people. And it's just been really beautiful. So Serendipity now is very much I always think there's kind of two aspects to Serendipity Wellbeing. There's the in-person services, which I felt very drawn and led to do healing. I went down the typical route that most people do, the Reiki. I think everybody starts with the Reiki, don't they? Yeah. And no problem, I love Reiki. But then very much more now working with the Archangels, and I do the Angelic healing. And I absolutely love that. And then also the part and an element of that is the traditional holistic therapies. I do those, but it is only a small part of Serendipity Wellbeing, and I offer them because I like to be able to give people a full holistic, service. And then, of course, the reading side of it. This is something I've kind of always known. It's always been there. From a very young child, I used to sense spirit around me. I did have some clairvoyant experiences, but they were very scattered and few and far between. But I knew I could walk into a room and I could sense spirit there. And I can look back now and I can see how much they've actually been involved in my life. Even before Serendipity Wellbeing, I can look back to see, literally how they have supported me, guided me, and helped me through a lot of stuff that, we all have life stuff, don't we?
Yeah, no escape.
Exactly. It's part of our human existence. We're here to learn and develop, aren't we? And boy, have I learned to develop. So very much kind of that arm of the bit, and then there's the online thing, which is the Crystal Club and the other online courses I do, and the remote healing, and of course the readings. And the readings, I feel so very blessed with my own team of guides, because my own team of guides are so lovely and supportive, and they're so, every time I do readings, they're there. You know, those bump, they're there. I don't even have to invocate anymore. They're with me as if like, I'm here, we're ready. Do your invocation, but we're here. We're here. We've got your back, kind of thing, and we're here to support you. So I just feel extremely blessed and lucky to be doing what I'm doing now. You know, it's took a long, long time to get here.
Yeah.
You know, and I do believe there's a lot more, you know, to come yet. You know, and I'm always open. I'm always kind of like, okay, what do you want me to do next, kind of thing.
Amazing. Right, I had to write down a couple of little bits in there because I was so many questions I wanted to ask you. Right, first, Crystal Club. Now I've looked at this on your website. People can join that and they get posted, don't they, a crystal every month, and then you teach them about the crystal and work with it and meditate with them. So it's an amazing thing, isn't it?
Yes, it is, and it's lovely, you know, as well, because with that being an online service, people literally are from all over the UK, which is lovely. And we do come together every Thursday evening. I always start off with a little mini crystal workshop. Occasionally I'll put something that's non-crystal related, but it's connected to spirituality, and we'll still work with the crystals. So it's a lovely experience for anybody who is fascinated and loves crystals, but also is on their own journey. You know, they're on their own awakening and ascension process, or they're on a journey of healing and self-discovery, which always ends up awakening. Whether you start it off meaning that way, it usually does, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And as we were saying when we were chatting before we came on, it's interesting because you're a spiritual life coach, and I completely get that, because so many people think that it's about connecting with spirit and that's going to fix everything. But in actual fact, you have to work on yourself, I think, harder when you want to connect to the spirit world.
100%.
Yeah. So you help people work through their own stuff to be able to strengthen that connection. Is that right?
100%, yeah.
Good.
Yeah. So the spiritual life coaching side of things, it makes absolute sense. You know, when you look back, and I'm sure you're the same, Hannah, when you look back at your life prior to doing all of this, everything like builds up to it, literally. You know, I've been in education for many, many years. I've coached and mentored people, you know, in education. Previous to that, I worked in retail, and it was always me that trained the staff. It was always me that supported the staff. And then, as I said earlier, I kind of felt this calling to do the counselling. So, you know, my whole life, literally from leaving school at 15, because I was like a baby of the school year, all the jobs I've done in my earthly experience have kind of led and built to this, and they've given me the skills and equipped me with the experience and knowledge, life knowledge, to support people on their journey. And the spiritual life coaching is very much about that. You know, the connecting with spirit is an integral part of it, but it's not the bit. I'm not there to train people to be mediums. I'm very blessed. There are some people on the recent course that actually finishes this week, who are going to go into mediumship. They have a beautiful gift, and it's fluent, and it's quite profound, and I'm really very happy for them. But I'm also working with people who've got quite strategic jobs, you know, who work in kind of roles where it is very non-spiritual, but the beautiful side of that is they've gone through a healing and development process, and they can use all of that toolbox. I call it the spiritual toolbox that I've given them. They can use all of that just to help them in their day-to-day life. And as you know, life just throws things at us, doesn't it? You know, we'll have a lovely little plateau, and then something will come along that's wonderful and amazing, and then something will come along. And I think once you're on that spiritual journey, it can help you with every aspect of your life, literally, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually, everything. It's the quadrant, isn't it? It's that whole person. It's being that whole person, you know. And the mediumship side of it for me is big, because that means it's that other layer to the life coaching, because I can, when I'm working with somebody, I work intuitively, but I can ask my own spirit guides to help me with that person. You know, I can say to them, you know, what, you know, I'm struggling a bit with this person. I really want to help them. I've got a bit of a block myself, and they can help me, and they can say, this person actually needs right now, this is what they need.
Yeah.
You know? And that's wonderful, you know, because I feel like I'm not doing that on my own. I'm feeling I'm doing that with my team of guides, you know.
And all the wisdom and the knowledge and the foresight that they bring. Absolutely. Why would you not if you could? I mean,
absolutely. Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So fantastic, because you're quite right. And I was saying something about this on one of my previous podcasts. Don't get caught up in the idea that because you're spiritual, it means you have to be a medium or a healer or any of those things, because there are lots of people out there who are incredibly spiritual, doing jobs that you wouldn't necessarily label as spiritual.
100%. Yeah. Scientists, doctors, nurses, people in things like engineering jobs, you know, very mathematical, kind of logical, scientific people. Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
You know, and this is what I always say to people as well, is, you know, everybody, they get messages about being a healer or messages about being a guide. And I'll say, but, you know, you need to explore that more, because it doesn't necessarily mean healing in the sense that we think of this these days. You can be in a workplace and be a healer just by shining your light, by being who you are, you know, and being that kind of spiritual example on a day-to-day basis, you know, literally a day-to-day basis in any.
Absolutely. You know, that's the thing. It's not always about hands-on. Sometimes it's about a chat with somebody while you're in a queue at the train station. Sometimes it's holding the lift door for someone and saying something as you go up 2 floors. We don't know the impact that we have on people. And like you say, it's energy, it moves. So what drew you to angels? Because angels are a big thing with you, aren't they? How did that start?
Yeah. Okay. So I've always kind of been fascinated with angels. My sister and I were brought up kind of in a Christian household. Our parents are Christians, and they don't go to church or anything anymore. They're very old, but they still very much believe. That's their belief system. And I think the whole thing of being taken to church, I was always more fascinated in the angels. Kind of like, oh, what's all these pictures everywhere, and what's all this about? And kind of being very led and drawn to them. And then when I started my own journey, it was very much kind of feeling this presence around me and not understanding what it was, but it feeling different to spirit. You know, spirit in the sense of, we think of spirit past loved ones or our guides who have lived a physical epoch. You know, they've had an earthly existence, and I kind of wanted to explore. And then I met a lady called Caroline Healy, and did some training with her probably about 18 months ago now. And everything just started kind of just going and making sense. And so I actually did a course with her on angelic card reading, and then a course with her as well on angelic healing. And it just went from there, really. And since I've been communicating with the archangels, and I've been using them for my own guidance readings, and I've been using them for healing, you know, my relationship with them and my access to their energy has grown and grown. And I've been very lucky. I've had some really beautiful experiences, some really lovely. I had an experience, well, I had one very recently, but I had one about 6 months ago, where I actually saw Archangel Michael. And it was just blue. Everything was, I can't tell you. I was looking out the bedroom window and it blew me away. I get emotional thinking about it because it was so powerful, and it blew me away. And it was literally just blue. I just looked across the field and everything went blue. And then I couldn't make out properly, but I saw this huge figure, you know, depicted like the wings. And we don't know really what archangels look like, their energy, you know, but that's how our mind interprets that energy. And it was just amazing. And at that moment it came to me, and it was like, right, you need to let other people know about us. they need to be able to tap into how we can help them as well. And that's where the course came from, that I'm going to be doing very soon, the exploring. I'm starting a week on Tuesday, exploring the Archangels. I've been writing it since then because it was like an epiphany. You know, you get these epiphany moments, and it was like an epiphany moment. So that's been kind of in the making for quite some time. And it is very much really about helping people, educating people, and helping people to tap into the Archangels' energies and how they can help them again. You know, if they are drawn to heal or they're drawn to be a medium, it'll take it to a whole new level. But if they're just, you know, wanting to explore their own spirituality and grow and develop, and they have an interest or a fascination in the Archangels, it's a lovely course to do, because it will be about educating but also empowering them to be able to tap into that energy again, just for the day-to-day life, you know, just literally to help them in the day-to-day life. Or if they do have something they need to work on to overcome, or, you know, they are experiencing challenges in their life and they need that extra support, and what better support?
Oh, well, yeah, indeed. Amazing. So, what's your favourite part of your work? What do you enjoy the most?
Wow, this is hard, isn't it? Because, do you know, it kind of changes and evolves depending on what I'm being nudged towards. So at the moment, I'm absolutely loving this whole being able to support people on their own ascension process and awaken. But I also absolutely love doing the readings, because literally in that short space of time when you are with that person in a one-to-one sitting, and they have that lovely affirmation that either a loved one is there for them still and is supporting them, and they have that lovely guidance from spirit and it's coming through from spirit. I think that's such a beautiful blessing. You know, and I say to everybody, you know, you can do this yourself. You know, you can do this yourself. We all have these clairs. We all have the different clairs, the clairsentience, the clairrecognizance, the clairaudience, you know, the clairvoyance. But we just, as humans, we're so closed to it, you know, and I think it's so lovely to be able to give people that guidance, you know, and I very much do my readings more like guidance, you know, and I always make it very clear, look, you know, you are a person of your own free will.
Yes.
This guidance doesn't mean everything is just going to slot into place for you. You still need to put the work in. You still need to go out there and do the work. You still need to live your life. But, you know, this guidance is here to help you, support you, to give you some reassurance and empowerment as well. You know, and that's a word that's just constantly, whenever I meditate, it's there all the time. Empowerment. So I feel that kind of whole side of it, really guiding, supporting people and helping them on their own kind of spiritual journey is a massive part of what I love doing. But to be honest, I love doing everything. There isn't anything I don't do that afterwards I'm kind of like, oh, thank you. I just feel so lucky and so blessed.
Amazing. You know? Completely agree. It's just the best job. It's the best job.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So what advice would you give to somebody that is just starting to hear that call of the spirit? Well, probably if it's like you and me, it's more of an interest, not realizing it's a calling just yet.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give them?
Explore, you know, don't ignore it. There's a reason it's happening. Divine timing is everything. You know, our spirit guides, you know, your main spirit guide is assigned to you literally from conception. You know, and they're waiting in the wings. They're waiting in the wings. And it's not that they've been dormant. They're very much part of your life and they're helping you and you're just unconscious to it. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I would say to people, explore, find people that you're drawn to. That's really important. I truly believe the energy connects us all like strings, and brings us together. And I truly am a massive believer in that, if you are getting that nudge, you're starting to think there's more to this life than this, and I feel something around me. I don't really understand what it is. Or you've just all your life, you've kind of known that. Take it that step further. It's worth it. It is 100% worth it. But you do have to put the work in. Some people are extremely lucky and their clairs, their senses, their spiritual senses are very strong from quite quick. But the vast majority of us, one or two of them, like for me, it was clairrecognisance and clairsentience. I've always sensed spirit around me. I've always, as a child, but because my clairvoyance wasn't that great until I started practicing like mad, I couldn't really see, but I could sense something around me and didn't really understand it. When I tried to talk to my parents about it, they would shut it down because they were feared, they were scared. And I understand that. And I don't blame them for that. There's a part of me thinks, I wish I'd started this journey so much younger. But like I said at the beginning of answering this question, divine timing is everything. Spirit, they nudge us, they give us that knock on the door at the exact right time when we're ready and when it's the right time for us. So if you do get that nudge, if you are getting those kind of sense and feeling, I need to know more about this. I want to be able to communicate with my own guides. I want to be able to tap into these wonderful energies like the Archangels. Then don't ignore it. Find somebody you feel drawn to. Facebook is a great place. There's lots of people out there doing all kinds of stuff, but it is important you feel drawn to that individual. You feel comfortable because there's a lot of trust when you're on this journey of the person you're working with and who's supporting you with that. And I'm very blessed. I've done a lot of training with David Trainer. He's my teacher and my mentor, and he's amazing and he's very supportive. I've learned so much from him, and I know there's so much more. I don't think you ever stop, do you, Hannah? You never,
ever. Absolutely not. Okay, so what are your favourite oracle cards? I'm assuming they'll be angel cards, but I could be wrong.
Yes, yeah, they are. They are. However, at the moment, I've got loads. Sure. And I do have tarot. I don't use them very often. That's just my personal preference. And I think the really important thing to get across to people listening to this podcast or joining us live today, I think it's really important that people understand that cards are just a tool. They are just a tool. It's like I always use the analogy of people I'm working with when I teach them about oracle cards and I teach them how to use oracle cards, that it's just like a carpenter has a chisel to carve wood to make something beautiful or something that's useful. The cards are just your chisel. You're the one channeling the information. You're channeling that information from your guides, whatever energies you tap into, whether that be your own guides, the archangels, angelic realm, or whether it be your higher self. Let's not forget our higher self, full of infinite wisdom, many epochs, many lives, lots and lots of stuff that's just kind of in there we need to unleash. So I always feel when I'm using oracle cards, if it's a live I'm doing on Facebook or it's a one-to-one sitting, I have to feel very drawn to the cards. And even though they are only a tool, I do feel very drawn to them. And sometimes I'll actually ask my main spirit guide, who is my guide when I do the reading as well. And 9 times out of 10, he will lead me to use my animal spirit guides, which are these ones. Absolutely beautiful. I love these cards. These are actually by Diana Cooper. And I love these cards. There's so much going on in the visions and in the images, and I get a lot of messages through that. A lot. I'm drawn to colours. I'm drawn to things, not necessarily the main thing. I mean, obviously, dolphin, we always think of communication and healing, don't we? But it's not always that. Sometimes it's the smallest things like the sea. On that card, the sea is lovely and tranquil. So I might be drawn to that for some reason, and spirit might use that. But it is only a tool. And I'm loving these myself at the moment. I've got these Sacred Destiny cards.
Denise Lynn.
Oh, yeah, they're gorgeous, aren't they? Absolutely. I only got these recently, about a month ago. And I'm loving using these. I've not done a live with them yet. I will do, but I'm loving using these. There's literally one word on them, and I like that because I think we get caught up in the words on the cards, don't we? And it can take away from the actual message that we're channeling. It can actually, kind of take you away and block the message that you're channeling. So I like those because it is purely one word and a visual. So,
when I teach students, beginners, I always say don't open the book that comes with the cards, because you don't want to get to that point where you're doing X plus Y equals Z. That's not spiritual connection. You can read the same card for 20 different people and have a different message for each one of them if you're connected to guides and spirit, can't you?
100%.
So opening it up, breaking down that barrier and reaching for more. So exactly. I completely agree.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't get hung up. And the other thing that is my bugbear, and David Trainer said this to me, that it's the drama of tarot. You have to do all these fancy spreads in certain patterns, etc. And that's lovely. It's a spectacle and it's entertainment. But really, it doesn't matter whether you pull one card or 10 cards. Once you start channeling that message, if it's truly spirit-led, it's going to come through no matter what, isn't it?
Absolutely. And sometimes, I bet you do this too, I end up reading a card ahead because I'm just yabbing, and then you realise that you were doing a reading for somebody, you've only pulled one card, and someone doesn't really book for a card reading if they only want one card pulled, so you have to go through the motion. But then as you turn it over, you go, oh no, I just read this. Because you're just in the power, aren't you? And
exactly. And that's just coming through, isn't it? It's just flowing, it's coming through.
So funny. So do you have a daily practice for your connection, or how do you?
I do. Yeah. So meditation to me is the basis of everything I do. I meditate for numerous reasons. So I might meditate just to cleanse my own energy, just to give my energy, my auric field, bring down the white light, give myself a nice cleanse and just fortify my energy, protect my energy. I may meditate because I'm looking for specific guidance on something, so like when I got called to do the Archangels course, I did a lot of meditation on that. Well, exactly how do you want this to look, and I just kept on getting the same message, which was, do what you do with it. What do you do with it? Just share it. So and then I may meditate for healing, for my own healing, because as you know, Hannah, we have to look after ourselves. It's absolutely paramount that we are, again, talking about mind, body, soul, that we are well and healthy. If we don't look after ourselves, this work is draining. It's absolutely exhausting and it's draining. And if we don't look after our own energy levels and keep our own energy kind of clean and cleanse. So sometimes I'll know that, I need to work on something that I've lost. I've gone off balance a little bit. I'm getting a bit emotional. Things are getting to me the way they wouldn't do. So I'll have to strip back and do some kind of good grounding stuff. So meditation is my go-to, my daily go-to. Pulling cards for myself. I used to do this, ironically, the course that I've just been teaching and the spiritual life coaching, when I was doing the oracle session with them, I was like, I've stopped doing this for myself every day, so I've started that again, just pulling a card for myself every day, because sometimes we get a bit blinkered, and it's that whole thing, isn't it, between the ego and spirit. What's ego led, what's spirit led. So a card for me kind of helps me if I'm struggling a bit with that, or is it this because I really want it to happen, or am I just wanting that? Am I wanting to receive that information? And it's like the use of a pendulum, isn't it? When you're used to using a pendulum, you know that you can actually, by your own power of your own energy, you can block that pendulum and make it move where you want it to move. So, that sometimes I'll just work on, am I getting a bit clouded here? Is it Carrie led or is it spirit led?
Yeah.
So, those are my main one is my meditation for multiple reasons. That's my go-to. And I love delivering meditation as well. And I think people who haven't meditated before think, what's all that about? But it's powerful, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think it's about you'll never be completely clear, but just trying to get yourself as clear as possible for your work is
100%.
so important.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to somebody who's interested in having a reading with you but has never had a reading before and is a bit worried about it?
Okay, so what I would always say to people, and I do say to clients if they've not had a reading before, is be open-minded. Don't go in with an expectation. Be open-minded, because spirit will channel through me what you need to know in the here and now, what's for your greater good in the here and now. Try and not expect for Aunt Sally to come through or for Grandad George to come through. You know, at the end of the day, we're working with spirit, and spirit will channel the messages that are going to be what you need to know here and now. Mm-hmm. And just be open to that, you know, try not have that expectation and ask. I always say to me, you know, when I'm doing the sitting, I always say to people, ask questions. The last thing I want to do is for us to sign off from the Zoom call, or you leave. If I'm doing a one-to-one over at the spa, you leave me, and then you have 1,000,001 questions. You know, it's your time, so make the most of this. Ask questions, you know, and just make notes. You know, I get people to make notes because you forget, don't you? I say people make notes, and I won't remember. I can guarantee you 95% of a reading I won't remember after I've kind of closed off from that reading. Once I've channeled the information, it's lost on me. You know, it's gone.
Yeah, so absolutely. If you're in your power.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so I just say make notes, because don't expect me to have another reading in a couple of months' time.
Absolutely agree. And questions is always an interesting one, because I think so many people come with that funny expectation that they need to sit silently and give nothing away. But I always think that working with a sitter is actually, there's a triangle of energy.
Yeah.
The spirit world, us as the mediums, and them as the sitter. And if they're sitting there holding their energy back because they're testing, they're never going to get the reading that they deserve. When if they just went, you know what, I really need to know this. Also, I think if you've got an expectation you're holding on to, I just want to know about my job. I just want to know about my job. If you just ask, we can deal with that and it's done, and you can enjoy the rest of the reading.
Exactly.
Whereas if you're going, why hasn't she said about my work yet? Why hasn't she said about my work yet? You're not listening to the rest of it.
No, and it could be really fundamental, and it could be indirectly the guidance you're looking for, but you're not.
Exactly. Yeah. And, you know, and like you say, they don't do it for you. So it's always really interesting, because often people, I don't know if this happens with you, people ask me questions and you have to say, well, I kind of answered that here, here, and here, and here, because they want it in a more direct. But spirit don't just say, this is what you need to do, this is when you need to do it, this is how it works, because then we wouldn't learn.
Exactly. They'll just give us the guidance that we need to work it all out for ourselves. And often not my readings are about healing. They're often about healing. So if somebody is asking about a job, there may be something in them that needs to be healed first before that opportunity comes about. You know, so I'll always say to people, you know, be really mindful of the guidance that comes through for you. You know, do take it on, it's there for a reason, you know. And I'll always say to people as well, you are your own person. We are each and every one of us given free will. Just because spirit have given you guidance doesn't mean that's 100% going to happen. And especially if there's other people involved, because you have to remember those other people. I mean, often not when people ask love questions, relationship questions, as a medium, your heart kind of sinks. And that's not in a negative way, but you just really want this person to be happy and to live their life, you know, their best life they can. And you just really want them to listen to the guidance that's going to come through and not wait for that. Oh, yes, you're going to be together and you're going to live happily ever after. Because there's no guarantees in that. Spirit may say you are meant to be together. Your souls are meant to travel this journey together for a while. You know, or even possibly for the rest of your life, but you're two people with free will. So I think that's really important. I always get that across in a reading, that, you know, you are a person of your own free will. Just because you've been given this guidance, you still have to put the work in. You still have to go away and do whatever you need to do, you know, to make things happen.
Absolutely. I mean, I've actually stopped doing love readings. I've put it in my booking process because I can't get myself into that space, because I feel you feel the heartache of the person, don't you? You want to take it away from them. But then as a spiritual person, as a spiritual guidance person on earth, you also understand that the person that they want back, it might not be best for them to come back. Exactly. And so you can never fulfill that need in somebody that's heartbroken in the way that they want it to be, because 9 times out of 10, all they really want you to say is, he's going to come back and it's going to be brilliant and this is going to fix all your problems.
He still loves me. And
and it just doesn't work like that, you know. And you're right, I just got to a point for me personally where I was trying to teach people about healing, but I could see the blinkers coming down because they just wanted, he's coming back. And I thought, I can't keep doing this.
Exactly. It's really, really hard, and trying to get across to someone that person may not be the right person for you, but spirit are 100% telling me that you are going to have love, but you need to let this person go. And you know, it's sitting on the other side of the fence. We've all been there. We've all been let down in love. We've all had a heartbreak. Some are bigger than others, depending on the relationship. And you know yourself how much you hold on to. There's a sentimentality for the good times and all the rest of it. So I think the love readings are extremely challenging, very challenging. And those where people come for a sit-in and they want a loved one who's passed to come through, and they don't come through. And that's really hard as well. You know, that's really hard because they're hoping they're going to come through and they don't. And you can see the disappointment, you know.
Yeah. And that's why I think, as you were saying at the beginning, you've been through so much to get you to this point. Because when you look back now, you can understand the resilience that had to be built in you to be able to do this kind of work for others. You have to be strong, don't you? Even though sometimes it's easier than not, and sometimes you come away just going, but the spirit world they know what's best. They know who's right to come in. They know what information is needed, and it's not our job to judge that. We are just the bridge.
Exactly.
So if you could go back in time to when you first started, what advice would you give yourself?
I would definitely say to myself, don't ignore the nudges, don't ignore the messages you are being given. Remove doubt and remove fear. You know, I think because we had, because my sister's, it's really lovely. I'm helping my sister on her ascension path at the moment, and I'm absolutely delighted. And I think when you've been brought up in a Christian environment, and my parents were good people, but they were very fear-driven, you know, and I think you have to remove the fear, because spirituality is us. It's our essence. We are spirit. We're spirit in a physical existence. We're here. We have this lovely, wonderful experience on earth to learn, to grow, to develop, and just to enjoy as well, you know, enjoy life. But the really important thing is, I think you've got to, and this is the hard bit, isn't it? The hard bit on a spiritual journey is you've got to take all those layers of conditioning off. You have to unpeel them. You have to remove them. You have to, all the stereotypical, you know, the horror movies and the ghost stories. You know, I've worked and I've spoke to, not demons, but, you know, spirits are very dark, you know, and it's not like it is on the horror movies, you know. There's a reason they're dark. There's a reason, you know, and I think you've just got to remove all of that preconceived ideas that were brought up to believe, that were conditioned to believe, which ultimately is control, isn't it? It's control, because, you know, fundamentally as humans, we are being suppressed as a spiritual being. So I think remove the doubt, remove the fear, don't ignore the nudges. And I think I would have got to where I am now a lot sooner. But as I said earlier, I do believe that everything is in divine timing, because as a young woman, when I was exploring my spirituality in my teens, and it was kind of put to a stop once my parents found out, I think without all of the life's experiences I've got now, without the heartaches, the dramas, the traumas. Without all of that, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. And like you said, to be able to be compassionate and empathize with people in the same way. So I'm very much a believer in divine timing, 100%.
Absolutely. Right. Well, we're coming to the end of our time. I had more questions I would have loved to have asked you. So, Carrie, tell everybody your website and how to find you on Facebook so they can book in with you.
Okay. So my Facebook page is Serendipity Wellbeing. You can find me by either searching Serendipity Wellbeing or Serendipity Wellbeing by Carrie, because that's the actual address. And my website is www.serendipity.online. That's simple. Serendipity.online. Really straightforward and simple. So you can find me online. You can find me on Facebook. I also have an Instagram page as well, which again is Serendipity Wellbeing. So yeah, you can find me on those, and yeah, please do join me. I will be doing a live next weekend, doing some free readings for everybody. I haven't been on for a few weeks, so I'll be jumping on next weekend.
I've been having a break too. It's a funny time at the moment. So, and you know, Carrie has got her spiritual life coaching course taking bookings for August, but also there's a few spaces left on the Exploring the Archangels course too. So make sure you get booked on those, because I have no doubt that they will sell out. Thank you so very much, Carrie. It's been really lovely to talk to you today.
Really lovely to talk to you as well, Hannah. Thank you very much. Thank you.